The big question, will it be Mo Salah or no Salah? talkSPORT understands the beleaguered Owls are to be placed into administration imminently. It was a winning start for Sean Dyche as they beat Porto 2-0 in the Europa League. Dyche era off to a perfect start. Angry scenes after the game with the chief executive Patrick Stewart and the unpopular director of football Kevin Thelwell approached by Rangers fans at the airport. Danny Roll also had to appease those Rangers supporters before boarding the flight back to Glasgow. The new sporting director Ross Wilson has made it a priority to extend the contracts of both Sven Botman and Tino Livramento. Jack Grealish back from a suspension, keen to make an impact, particularly with Thomas Tuchel mulling over his squad for the upcoming internationals during the November break. West Ham fans will be hoping a week really is a long time in football. I'm Alex Crook, talkSPORT's chief football correspondent. You are watching the talkSPORT YouTube channel, where we round up all the big news from the world of football and look ahead to another huge weekend in the Premier League. Well, let's start with some worrying news coming out of Sheffield Wednesday this morning. talkSPORT understands the beleaguered Owls are to be placed into administration imminently. This comes on the back of £1 million in unpaid taxes to HMRC. Of course, Delphont Chansiri, the hated owner at Hillsborough, has a habit of paying his players and staff late, and this seems to be the tip of the iceberg. What will it mean for Wednesday? Well, they're already rock bottom of the Championship. They'll be hit with an automatic point deduction, pretty much sealing their relegation to League One for next season. But it might just be short-term pain for long-term gain. Hopefully, this will be the straw that breaks the camel's back in terms of Chansiri being forced to sell his shares, and the club hopefully can look forward to a brighter future under potential new owners. I know there have been talks with a group of Sheffield Wednesday fans looking to put together a supporters' trust to potentially buy the club out of administration. What it means in terms of the debts is that 25p in the pound will have to be repaid to any football creditor. I think at last count those debts were around about the £40 million mark. We will of course keep you updated on this as it happens on talksport.com and on talkSPORT. Let's move on to Nottingham Forest now. It was a winning start for Sean Dyche as they beat Porto 2-0 in the Europa League on Thursday evening. 2 penalties from Morgan Gibbs-White and Igor Jesus got the Dyche era off to a perfect start. They go to Bournemouth in the Premier League on Sunday. I think it's already clear that Sean Dyche has inherited a squad better than 8 games without a win under his predecessor Ange Postecoglou. And while the remit initially was a firefighting mission to drag Forest away from relegation, I think the owner, who we know is very ambitious, Evangelos Marinakis, will quickly set his sights on going deep into the Europa League. That was a real statement win for Forest against a former European champion in Porto and one flying high in the Portuguese league. Dyche will be back with funds in January to add to his already bloated squad as well. What I think we will see when the transfer window reopens is 1 or 2 players that Dyche doesn't feel have a future at the City ground moved on. So it could be quite a busy transfer window for the new man in the dugout at one of England's proudest clubs. Not such good news for Danny Roll at Rangers. They were thrashed 3-0 by Brann over in Norway in his first game in charge in the Europa League. And there were angry scenes after the game with the chief executive Patrick Stewart and the unpopular director of football Kevin Thelwell approached by Rangers fans at the airport. Danny Roll also had to appease those Rangers supporters before boarding the flight back to Glasgow. He apologised for the defeat and promised that better days were ahead. Interesting comments from the Rangers captain James Tavernier after the game as well, really tore into his teammates. So it already looks a massive job for Danny Roll on the blue side of Glasgow. Again, I would expect a fairly big turnover of players when the transfer window does reopen. But what about the future of Messrs Stewart and Thelwell? Clearly the fans are not happy, and I have been told that Kevin Thelwell's position could well be under threat already. Moving back to matters this side of the border, it was a great win for Newcastle on Tuesday night. They beat Benfica by 3-0 in the Champions League. An unhappy return to England for Jose Mourinho, the Benfica manager. That came hot on the news that Sandro Tonali had secretly agreed to extend his contract, so he's tied down at St James's Park until at least the summer of 2029. There's an extra year's option, taking it to 2030 in that deal as well. I also broke the news this week that the new sporting director, Ross Wilson, has made it a priority to extend the contracts of both Sven Botman and Tino Livramento. Botman's deal is up in the summer of 2027. He's arguably been one of Newcastle's most important signings of the Eddie Howe era. Livramento has an extra year to run on his deal, so not quite as pressing. He's already under contract until 2028, but we know there's strong interest from Manchester City, hence why Newcastle are keen to get him to sign an extension. Let's look ahead to the Premier League weekend now. It all starts tonight live on talkSPORT. A relegation six-pointer between Leeds and West Ham. West Ham fans will be hoping a week really is a long time in football. They were absolutely dreadful as they lost 2-0 at home to Brentford on Monday. That was a result that really flattered Nuno Espirito Santo's side. They might just feel the benefits, West Ham, of playing away from home. They've lost 4 out of 4 at London Stadium. Just one home victory for Leeds United so far. So while a lot of people are expecting Daniel Farke's side to pick up all 3 points, I would expect West Ham to improve, and I think it might be much closer than maybe people think. On to Saturday, we've got a live game at 8 o'clock on Saturday night. It's Brentford against Liverpool. Liverpool ending a run of 4 successive defeats emphatically as they thrash Frankfurt 5-1 away from home in the Champions League on Wednesday night. Brentford in good form though, 2 wins from their last 3 matches. Only Manchester City have triumphed at the G-Tech so far this season. That was a narrow 1-0 victory. The big question, will it be Mo Salah or no Salah for Liverpool? He was left on the bench in midweek, clearly wasn't happy about it. He's deleted references to Liverpool from his social media. The fact that Alexander Isak is injured means that Salah, I think, is likely to start. So will he be sulking or will he have a point to prove to manager Arne Slot? Finally, I'll be at Everton against Tottenham on Sunday afternoon. Really looking forward to my first ever visit to the Hill Dickinson Stadium. And Tottenham are in need of a result. They were beaten at home by Villa last weekend in the Premier League, toiled to a 0-0 draw thanks largely to their goalkeeper Vicario in midweek. And I've just got a suspicion that this might be another disappointing afternoon for Spurs. Jack Grealish back from a suspension, keen to make an impact, particularly with Thomas Tuchel mulling over his squad for the upcoming internationals during the November break. And I just feel that Jack Grealish might have a big say in this game. There you go. Those are the big talking points from the world of football. Do be sure to join us once again on the talkSPORT YouTube channel on Monday when we'll be rounding up all the stories from the weekend.
Don't forget this video is in association with our own bookies, talkSPORT Bet. So download the app or head to the website talksportbet.com for more information. 18+, T's and C's apply. BeGambleAware.org.